you know me from yesterday's meeting. Just in case if someone does not know, so I'm Kunal and I have a total of 10 years of experience in automation and software development. And yesterday's session was more on unit testing. So today our focus is on integration testing as well as on RE framework testing. So with that said, we'll I'll share my screen and we'll go. I hope my screen is visible. Are you guys able to see it? Can anyone give me a confirmation that the screen is visible? Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Lakshmi. So, yep. S- We'll start with a very simple business use case. Okay. So, there is a business user story which says that the claims user he wants to log into a insurance portal and he wants to update the correspondence details for a particular claim so that all the communications related to that claim is accurately recorded and accessible. So that's the requirement that the guy has given, and he has mentioned some acceptance criteria. So his acceptance criteria says that, like, when the process starts, he or she should have access to that, the bot should have access to the portal, and it should navigate correctly to that portal, log into that portal. If the login is successful, it should confirm that the home page has appeared. If the home page has appeared, it should go and search for that particular claim on the screen. So once the claim is visible on that screen, the bot actually clicks that claim and opens it. So once it is enter into the claims entering page or the claims detail page, what it does is it enters the correspondence, saves that particular thing, and then logs out. So that is the requirement that the user has given. And this is a very simple process. Okay. And I'll be using this process only to explain you both integration testing, how I replicate the same in RE framework, and what is the test automation framework that UiPath has given. So the intention is to understand the test automation framework. That is very important. So what is the flow, how the framework operates is what we need to understand, so that tomorrow any requirement comes, we will be able to use that particular template. So that is what is the intention of this call today. Okay. So I hope that the requirement is quite clear to everyone, and I have a request. Please, um, please enter your questions. Okay. Mm. And after every 15 minutes, I'm going to see this chat and answer if any question is there. Okay. Okay. So let's go to our studio. So here is the studio, and what I've done is I've created this workflows. So you can see that there are 6 workflows. One, the first one is the navigate to website. The second is log into the website. Third is confirm that home page has appeared. The fourth is search claim. The fifth is opening the claim, and the sixth is updating the correspondence detail and saving it. So these are the 6 XAMLs that I have. And with respect to these XAMLs, I also have my test cases. So 6 XAMLs, 6 test cases. Now, what is inside these XAMLs? So actually, I did not uh, do any coding inside this. I kept this only placeholder activities, log activities, to explain you how this framework or the integration testing works. Because I'm pretty sure we are all RPA developers, and whenever any scenario comes, we'll be doing the necessary UI coding here and we'll be able to operate it. So that is a simple workflow thing. So I've not gone that deep. So my intention, once again, I'm mentioning, is to explain you the flow of the process or the flow of the framework. So that is the intention behind it. So okay, so created a, this is the workflow. So we'll start one by one. We'll start seeing how each of these test case operates, and then we'll see how the integration happens. So let's start with the first test case. So that is navigate to website. So again, I have placed some placeholder activities, some log messages here for this particular thing. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to execute this particular test case. So, and we'll be able to track this flow in this particular text file. So let's see it. Okay, the test case is executed, and let's see the flow. So when the test case executes, every test case has three blocks, as I mentioned yesterday. So the given block, the when block, and the then block. So if you see, the given block got executed first. Then the when block started executing. Inside the when block, I invoked that particular workflow which is going to execute. So that got executed. And finally, your then block got executed. Okay. So this is the flow for a particular test case, right? Okay. Now let me delete this and we'll go to the next one. So that is the next flow. That is login to website. And let's see what happens when I test this login to website thing. Now, once I rerun this particular thing, oh, sorry. Give me 1 second. Okay. Okay. So I've executed my second test case. Let's see what got populated into the this thing. So now you see here, what do you see here? You have the given block. Inside the given block, I have this navigate to website workflow. Then is your when block, which is expected. And inside the when block, I have the login to website, which we already know because we already invoke that particular workflow into this in the when block. And then you have the then block. So what is new here? The new thing is in the given block, we now have this navigate to website workflow invoked. Why? Because this is a precondition. That is what I mentioned yesterday also, that the given block has the preconditions, right? And the when block actually tests your actual workflow. And then the then block will do the verification. So what is the precondition for login? See, unless we navigate to the website, we'll not be able to test the login, right? So now this first workflow becomes a precondition for the second workflow. So that's why if you see the test case here, I've just invoked my first workflow here. And then rest of the things are identical. Whatever it does, like whenever you create a test case, you know that automatically this workflow is going to be executed here, right? So your rest of the things are all identical. So what is getting changed? In the given block, we are just putting our preconditions or the workflows which has to be executed before the one that I'm testing needs to happen, right? So now I'm pretty sure that all of you have figured out that what happens in the third. So for the third one, that confirming that home page has appeared or not, I need to have both the first and the second workflow as my precondition in the given block. It is only then I can test my third workflow, right? So let's go and see that too in action. Okay, we'll just see if what happens there. Okay, okay. Now if you see here, as said, the things are all identical. So what got changed in the given block? Now I have the other two works as my preconditions, which got executed here, and then the third one got tested. So this is actually how you do a UI automation testing or the integration testing for UI automation. For the first one, there is no precondition because it is the starting point. The second one has a precondition, that is the starting point. For the third one, the first and the second becomes your precondition. So that's how you slowly do integration testing for your sequential things, something which is getting executed in a sequential manner one by one. Okay, but now this entire flow or this entire requirement, if is given to me as a project, then obviously I'm not going to do it in a sequential project, right? So we'll be always using RE framework to do that, because that it's not like that we'll only have one particular claim to update, right? So we'll have multiple claims to update for the same details, right? So it's a transactional process. So that's where a new concept comes in, which is your templates. Okay. And similar to your RE framework, UiPath Testing has also given us something called as the test framework. Okay, we are going to see the test framework. So, but before I do the test framework, let's come here and just mark the things which is going where. Okay, I'm pretty sure that all of you know, all of you can understand that this goes into the init state of the process, right? Your logging is also a part of your init, and your home page getting loaded is also a part of your init. So all this is a part of your init state of your RE framework. Rest of the things like searching the claims repeatedly for different claim number that is coming from the queue, then all of this is a part of your process. So this part is a part of your process. Okay. So this is what happens, right, in RE framework. So I've just marked the stages of this, right? So now what we'll do is we'll go and we'll try to see what is the test framework, what is the flow of the test framework that they have provided. Okay, so I'll just take a break here, and what I'll do is I'll just go to the chat and see that if anyone has put any questions there. Okay, so as of now we don't have any questions, but feel free to keep putting your questions in the chat if you have any, right? So so this is a test automation framework. Now, how did I create this project where I can see this test framework coming? Okay, so for doing that, what you need to do is you need to go to your home page, and then from the new template, just need to select this test automation framework. The moment you select this test automation framework and you create a project, once you go to this template, okay, you'll be able to see this test framework XAML. Okay, so now let's go to this test framework XAML and let's see what are the sections that they have mentioned here. Okay, in simple terms, this test framework has three stages. One is the setup, second is the run test, third is the tear down. So you have three different stages here in this test framework, right? So let's go to our Excel, and what we'll do is we'll just create a new sheet and we'll just mark all the stages that we see here. So first is your setup. Okay, then you have your run test. Okay, and then you have your tear down. So these are the three stages. Okay, now whereas in RE framework you have four stages, like one is init, then you have your get transaction data, you have your get transaction state, then you have your process state. Okay, and then you have your end state. So we have four there. Okay, so one is the test framework. So this is the test automation framework. Okay, and then you have your RE framework. Okay, now let's go and read the annotation that has been given for this. So if you read the setup thing, so what they have mentioned here is you prepare your test data here, you read your assets and configurations, you prepare your browser, and you prepare your application. So that is like init all application. So by reading this particular annotation itself, it is very clear to us that this particular block is actually replicating your init state of your RE framework. Okay, so we understood that the setup is linked to our init. Okay, so this matching has happened. Okay, clear. Now what is there in the next block? Okay, so then comes your second block. What is your run test? So they are saying that you are going to test your actual test case here with the time constraint or other things. Okay, so this is what, so wherever we are doing the actual testing, that becomes my process state, because that is where we do our custom coding or we do our whatever the business process needs, right? So we can understand the run test is actually linked to your process, right? So let me just remove this from here and we'll say process. Okay. Then comes your tear down. So I hope that this is also clear to everyone. So then comes your tear down. So what is that you do in tear down? So they are saying that bringing the application back to the original state, you're deleting your created data, you're doing a logout, you're saving your results and checking for application errors, etc. So by this itself, you can understand that this is a part of your end state. Okay, because we are closing our applications and doing that. So tear down is nothing but again going to my end state or closing the process. So these three things is clear. Now there is something, there is one state which got missed out, that is my get transaction. So this is missing, but I'll explain you how this state is getting handled. Okay, by this framework, it is also handling this, but there is a different way to how it got handled. And this was actually covered yesterday. So we'll just try to relate yesterday's thing with today's thing, and we'll just try to see like how it has happened. Okay, but for now, it is pretty clear that the setup is linked to your init, your run test is linked to your process, and your tear down is linked to your end state. Okay, so let's go inside this framework and just see. So what this framework has. So if you see this test framework, it does not has too many XAMLs inside it. It it has only 3-4 XAMLs inside it, right? One is init all assets where, or it is similar to our init read configuration and all, right? Where it reads a configuration file, gets your assets. The same thing is here in it all assets, right? This is completely customizable. You can, just like how we customize our RE framework for a particular business, depending on what is needed, you can also customize this framework. This is a default framework that they have given us. Okay, so the setup has only one XAML, that is init all assets, and this kill all process I think is a part of your tear down, and then you have this setup and this tear down XAML. So let's go inside this setup XAML and see what is inside it. So if you see here, there is nothing much here. Okay, so you see that only this particular XAML has been invoked. The rest of the thing is left to us to do the design our framework, right? Similarly, now let's see what is there inside the second thing. So that is run test. So I want all of you to focus on this particular activity. There is nothing much, okay? So they've just given a activity called as execution timeout, where it checks like whether the execution is happening without within a particular time or not. If it does not happen within a particular time, then this activity itself will throw you an error. Now, what is the use of this activity? Obviously, you guys can ask me. Like, so what I understand is like sometimes we can play with this activity in a manner that you have a very stable website or a web page and it always gets loaded. Okay, so there is never a issue that the web page never loads or something like that, but you intentionally want to create an exception. Okay, just to see that what happens if this exception gets generated at runtime, but physically it is not possible because your website is getting loaded always correctly. So what you do is, you know that the time taken to execute this job is say 5 minutes, it will finish within 5 minutes. Okay, but what you did is you actually reduce the time. So before the actually job gets finished, whenever the time limits exceeds, it will automatically throw you an error. So you can play with that and see like how your process is getting handled. Okay, so something like that. But the most important thing which I want you to focus is this test placeholder. So this placeholder activity is going to actually play a very crucial role here for this run test. Okay, so this activity is very important and it does not has anything more. Rest of the thing is all logging and exception handling. Then you have your tear down. Now what? So if you open your tear down, you just see that it only has a kill all process. That's it. Rest of the things for doing the coding. So I hope the framework is pretty clear to all of you. Like it's very similar to your RE framework. Rest of the things, but it's not as complicated as RE framework. One important thing which you need to understand is this placeholder activity, which plays a very crucial role. Rest of the thing is all similar to RE framework. Okay, so let's go back to our coding and we'll just okay. So yeah, so now Before I came to when for explaining this, I already marked this three things, right? That in it, this three things where I was able to run test case for each of these steps. Okay, so I had a proper test case for each of these steps. Now comes the process state. Now, what is that you are going to do here? Are you going to sequentially execute all of this? Say you have 10 process steps. So are you going to do are you going to invoke all the activities again inside that same test case one by one? So what is the disadvantage of doing that? Because if you keep doing that, then that means you'll have to design your entire RE framework process within one particular test case itself, right? And that is not feasible, right? Because it makes your design very clumsy. It is not right because slowly you'll start, because it's not going to be as simple as like how I put it there, right? It will have if conditions, etc., etc. So when you start putting all of that there, then it becomes completely clumsy, right? And obviously we are not going to take that particular approach to do that. So that's where I use this test framework. Now what I had done in this test framework, so if you go here, I'll go to the setup state, okay, and I'll open the workflow. So for searching the claim, what is my precondition? I need to navigate to the website. Obviously, I need to do the login. I also need to confirm that the home page has appeared. Only then I can see a search claim box where I can enter my claim number and do the search. Okay, so this three things is common. Now, this three thing is actually common for the rest, all the three XAMLs, right? Your search claim, open claim, update correspondence. So these three things are actually common for the rest of the steps, for all your process steps, right? So what I've done is I've simply invoked it within the setup XAML. So you see, so this all is a part of your initall application. Just like what you do in initall application, I've just invoked all the things here. Okay, so these three things gets invoked here, right? Now, next comes your searching of this claim. Now, now how do I attach or how do I bind this particular search claim to this framework? Because his precondition, see, now if I open this, let's try to understand this. Okay, so obviously all the preconditions, that is 1, 2, and 3, is no more a part of this XAML. So his given block is empty, right? The given condition is empty, right? It only has your in the when you have your the invoke for this particular, for the one that I'm going to test, and then you have your then block. So the preconditions from the given block has now gone inside this framework. So that means somehow I need to connect this particular test case to this framework, right? Only then it is going to work. Now how does that connection happens? It is very simple. You simply need to right click on this test. Simply right click. What you need to do is you just need to select set execution template. You just select this test execution template, and then you get all the options. Now here you can see my template for test framework. You just need to select this test framework here and click on OK. The moment you do this, now this test case is actually getting connected to this test framework. It got connected. Okay, the binding has happened. Now those preconditions which had to be here now has is a part of your framework, and obviously it is going to execute from that framework itself. Okay, now in which place this test case will getting invoked? Let's see in which place this test case is going to get invoked. Okay, so first let me go and I'll just run one of the test case. I'm not going to run. Okay, i I think this the studio is going to get shut down, and again it's going to reopen. There's a problem with the new version that got updated yesterday. Just give me a minute. I think it will automatically close and then reopen. So yep, as expected. So I'll just go and I'll start. Okay, so that's been a problem with this latest version which got installed yesterday, and like there is some dependency issues as well as this problem of getting shut down automatically. Okay, so yeah, I was telling that I'm going to execute one of this thing, and we are going to see like what is the outcome of this, right? So let me delete the previous things from here so that I have a clean file, and I'm going to run this particular test case, okay, with this particular test data. Now, yesterday I showed you like how to create or attach test data, right? We have all seen how to do the data driven testing. So in the same way I created two claim numbers for myself. Okay, so I've just used one of the mechanism to create two claim numbers for myself, and I've attached it to the test case, right? So let it get executed, and we'll see our flow. So what is the flow? Now see what gets executed. See, the setup block of the test framework is getting executed. Now the given block is not executing first because I've linked it to the test framework. So the test framework is the one that is getting invoked first. So you see the setup block gets executed, then the navigation happened, then the login happened, then the home page happened. So all the three steps got executed in the setup block. Then from the setup block, the run test came. Now, as soon as the run test started executing, you see the given block for the search claim started executing, then the when block executed for this particular claim. So I had a claim number called as claim 001, so it executed for this one. Then the then block got executed, and finally the tear down happened, that is closing of the framework, that is the end state. So the init state executed, okay, the process got executed, okay, and then your end state got executed, and you see that your entire thing got tested in that way. Now this is what the placeholder activity does. The placeholder activity automatically, when you do this binding, it understands that I need to invoke this particular test case in the place of the placeholder. So you don't have to drag this particular workflow there and invoke it. It automatically understands once you do this binding. So the by binding I mean right click, select the execution template, and that's it. The moment you do that, this all internal bindings happens automatically. Now what happens, and this is your thing. So now you have understood like, okay, this is how I need to do this. Okay, so I hope that the flow is clear to everyone. I'll just take a break and I'll just see if there is anything in the chat or any questions. Okay, no questions so far. Okay, let's go back. Okay, now what we do is we'll test the fourth one. Okay, so sorry, the fifth one. Now for the fifth one, open claim, what happens, you see here. Now for the fifth one, again this your opening the claim. Now this, now I cannot put this particular thing, this step in the init state, right? It is not possible, right? I cannot put it as a part of my init for that particular framework. It is a part of the process only. So what will I do if it is a part of the process? Now I cannot invoke it within the run block also, because if I do that invoke within the run block, then for every test case by default it is going to execute even for itself, right? So obviously I cannot put it in the run block. So how do you test it here? So all the process MLs has to be, again, now from here onwards, from the fifth and sixth onward, again it follows that sequential manner. Now this thing is again a part of your given block. So the first three went into the init section, the fourth one is again a part of your given block here. So that's how it gets executed, right? So let's, now again I'm going to test the fifth one and show you the output, like, okay, how it is going to happen. So let me select the first claim and run it. Okay, so now if I see the test case flow, you'll see that the first two three things, it happened within the setup block. Then the run test executed within the run block. In the given block, first the search claim happened, so the precondition got executed. then the actual one got tested, and the final one is your then block, and then you have your tear down. So this is the step. Now I'm pretty sure the sixth one is pretty much clear to all of you. Like this is the same way how it is going to happen. So now the fourth and the fifth is a part of the precondition of your sixth one, right? So if I start executing the sixth one, you are going to see the same thing there. Okay, so let me select one of the test case from here, and I'm going to run it. Okay, so now if you see it, the first one, two, three gets executed. The fourth and the fifth as a part of the preconditions. So it came here. The sixth one get tested. Then you have your then block, and then you have your tear down. So this is the way that all your setups or all your things are going to get executed one by one, and your entire integration thing is going to you'll be able to do your entire integration. Okay, so this is the way that you need to do your testing. Now one important thing that we missed out. Okay, now I said that this get transaction state is something which was not, which did not come here, right? So we missed the get transaction thing here, right? Now how do we take care of this transactional thing? Okay, the framework does not has a get transaction state. So how does it happen? So actually, we don't even need to worry about it. Why? Because it is a part of your test data itself. See, when you create your test data, yesterday also I created test data for a particular thing, and all the test cases were getting executed automatically. So everything is a matter of binding. So you don't have to do any coding for that or any other thing. So you just do the binding and automatically happens. So now you see here that when I created my test case, okay, when I created my test data, okay, so how did we, yesterday what we did is we just created here and we clicked on update test data. So, and then we chose different mechanism to update our test data. Now I already have a test data here. So I'm just going to modify here and I'm going to show it to you that I already have two data here present. The data are two transactions. So by two data, I mean I have two different transactions present here, and it is already mapped to this, or it is already binded to this particular test case. So I don't even need this. Now see, if I run this particular test case, okay, for both the transactions, okay, say let me run this final state for both the transactions. So I'm going to run the entire, all the test cases or the test data for this particular test case. Okay, so the process got executed. Now if I open it, you can see the same thing which was happening initially for one particular claim, it finished here, and then if you see the log, the second one started executing. Now you have your other claim. So this is how the transaction thing is taken care of automatically. You don't even need that state where you need to get your transactions and all other thing. Now once you map your data, you do your data driven testing and you just create your test data and you link it to your test case. Now whichever you want to execute, if you want only one single transaction to execute, it will execute one. If you want multiple to execute, just select all the test data and run it. So then automatically this transactional thing will automatically start happening. And this is how you can actually do an integration testing for your entire RE framework. As well, you can do this transactional thing. The advantage is, like, you can have different sources of data, the queues, the autopilot from the files or anything. And yesterday we have already seen, the moment I publish this particular test case, all this data is a part of that published itself. So from there onwards also you can update it and you can do the testing. Okay, so this is how you finish your entire RE framework integration testing with multiple data. So I hope this thing is clear to all of you, and whatever I've explained you about the test framework is what we need to see. Okay, so that's the work of the test framework. Okay, so this is how your test framework and other things are executing. Okay, so just give me a second, I'll just plug into my uh, system. Okay, so in addition to this, we have one more thing, which is a very important thing, which is called as mock testing. So what happens actually in the mock testing? Even for a mock testing, we'll take a different use case and we'll try to see like how we can do the mock testing project. Okay. 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 So I'll give you a scenario here. Okay. So this is our second business user story for today. Okay. So what they've said is the business user, he wants to automate the process of loading data from a file on SharePoint into a queue. Very simple process. There is a file in the SharePoint. The business users wants us to read that particular file from SharePoint and load it to the queue. That's it. So that the process can be efficiently performed by the performer robot. So that is the business user's story. So now there is a dependency on SharePoint. Okay. Now there is an issue. When we started the development, there is an issue. They say that the SharePoint access for the developer is delayed due to administrative approval process. So the issue going on with his access. So obviously the business user cannot provide us that particular file. Okay, or cannot give us this access. So he has given us a temporary solution so that we can continue our development. So the temporary is he's saying that I'll give you a sample file which resembles your actual file structure on the SharePoint. Okay, and I'll store it in a local folder for you so that the dispatcher process can use this temporary file for doing the development and do the testing until the SharePoint access is granted. So that is the temporary solution that business user is providing us. So now let's break down our use case here. So I've just broken my use case here. Okay. So there is a dispatcher, which is the main file of the dispatcher flow. Then there is init all settings where I'm going to read my config and my assets. Then there is a XAML which will connect to the SharePoint. Okay. So for creating the SharePoint connection, then it will download that file from SharePoint. That is the other one. Once downloaded, is going to that file. Okay, and then the fourth one is add to queue. So load the data table to the queue. Now out of these 6 steps, you will see that our issue exists in the third and the fourth step. Okay, so that is the issue where the issue lies. Now let's draw a similarity between the solution and the temporary solution that the user has given us. Now these two things are okay, fine, there is no problem. For the third one, I'm doing a temporary solution. As the user said, he is going to place that particular file into a local folder. Okay, so what we can do is we can check if that local folder exists or not. Okay, and then comes your downloading the file. Now again, I cannot download because I don't have access. So what I can do instead, there I can check that the file that he has mentioned, does it exist within that particular folder or not. So I can do a file exists there. Okay, then rest of the things are all identical, so there is no issue with that. Okay, so the rest of the flow goes as expected. So this is the business user story. I hope that till this much all of us has understood like what is the business user story, where the problem is and how we are going to resolve it, and what is the temporary solution, right? So I hope that the use case is clear. So let's go to the actual thing here and we'll see our workflows. Okay, so I have my work here. So I have the dispatcher which invokes all other XAML. So if you see here, so my dispatcher is invoking all other XAMLs, init all settings, connect to SharePoint, download file, read the file, add to queue. So this is my dispatcher flow. Okay, so I want to test my entire dispatcher. So what I did is I created a test case for my dispatcher. So I have a dispatcher test case created. So I have a given block I have my one block where the actual this dispatcher is getting tested, and then I have my then block. Okay, so given when then, so that is okay. But then I have this problem of this temporary solution. Now, usually, or what is the traditional way that we handle it? What we do is when as per the temporary solution goes, what we do is we go ahead and we make changes in our actual code. Okay, so tomorrow when I get the access, again we go to our business users and we say them key, okay, now to make the change I need 1 day or 2 day extra to finish my work, right? Because that is an extra effort that I'm going to do, because I'll have to delete everything from my original code, and I'll have to redo it in the same manner for the actual access that I've got. So that is the way the traditional uh, development goes, right? So, or how we do it. But now what we are going to do is, instead of doing that, what we'll do is we'll create a mock file. So how do you create a mock test case? Okay, for this. So suppose you are going to create a test case. So you just need to right click on here, say create test case. And when you say create test case, you give your name, rest all the steps are the same. The only thing that you need to do is you just need to select on this checkbox, say mock. Just click on this checkbox for mocking the workflow. That's it. And then you do a next, or you do create. So this is how you create a mock thing. Now, what is a mock thing? Now, if I open, see, when you create a mock workflow, when the test is getting created by default, for all other examples, you saw that it was actually invoking the original XAML. But here, it actually invokes the mock XAML. So what he has done is he has actually and created the same test case or the same XAML here. He has created a mock XAML here. So what he is doing is he's invoking the mock XAML inside the test case. Now let's open this mock file. Now usually, so you see that the mock file is open and it is replicating the original code and the mock code. So it's a replica of this. Now I'll show you how it is a replica. So this is the original code which the tab that I've selected is the original one. Okay, the mock is here, right? So what I'll do is I'll simply add a message box here. Say I'll add a message box here. Okay, so I'll write hello. I'll save it. So the moment I saved it, okay, I'll go to the mock file and see this message box got it automatically reflected what I did in the original code. So I did not drag the message box here. So I did it in the original code, but the mock one automatically updated itself with this particular thing. Okay, so now let's go ahead and delete it, and let's so I hope I just showed you the functionality of mock, like what this mock can do, right? So I've saved it, so it's gone from. Now let's see where our pain point is, or where we need our temporary solutions. Now this step, as I showed in the Excel, the third and the fourth step had the issue. Connecting to the point and downloading the file had the issue. And for this too, we had to create an alternative solution as mentioned, right? So we'll try to create the alternate solution. Now, whatever, now remember one thing, whatever you do in the original thing that get replicated in the mock, but what you do in the mock does not get replicated in the original one. So it's only a one way thing. From the original, the mock will replicate, but the reverse will not work. From the mock, the original will not work. So now what I'll do is I'll go to the mock file, and before I make any edit to this particular step, what I need to do is I'll just right click here and I'll select this option called as surround with mock. Okay, I'll just say surround with mock. So I've just surrounded it. No, I'll do the same thing for the fourth one because both this needs an alternative solution. So I've done that. Now rest anywhere I cannot do anything, right? See, everything is read only. I cannot do anything. The only place where I can edit is this mock section. Now, what happens is when I do the test case or when I do the testing, this will get executed. Then instead of executing this read only part, it will actually execute the mock part for both this particular thing. Then rest of the thing will execute as expected. Okay. So this is how you actually do your mock testing. Now, what you do is you need a file exists, right? So if first we are going to check if the folder exists. So we'll simply go and we'll say that folder exists. We'll track that folder exist activity here, and whatever the code you need to write, you can write it here, right? Similarly, we'll do a file exist. Okay, so and the rest of the things will flow. So this is how you can do it. Now the advantage of this is, see, today you have it, tomorrow you have access, and then say after a month or two, again there is some issue, or you got some enhancement coming your way and you are going to do that enhancement, and again the same issue with SharePoint happens. Maybe they have revoked your developer license from that SharePoint because already the code has gone to production. Now again you might have a same issue. So you can keep this mock file, okay, and whenever it comes, you can do your enhancement and detailing thing whatever is needed, and once you get your access back, you can do your original dispatcher testing, which will have all the access related things. So this is how mock testing works. So I hope that it is like it's very easy. So what it is doing is you are just replicating your code, and instead of making changes in the original code, so that what, because in real time the code is not going to be that simple, right? Obviously it will be complex. You will be writing some VV statements or something, some if condition or some complex inline codes there. And say for example, if you don't keep a backup of it, either you'll have to keep a backup of it in your code, or for testing you'll have to make so many times edit, and sometimes you even forget like how we did it at that point of time. So we'll have to go through the entire code, remember it, come back and again do the changes, necessary changes, and do it back. This is where your mock testing helps. If you don't have any access, you just create a simple mock file, you do all your steps, all your testing, whatever is expected, whatever is not, or wherever you had a temporary solution, you keep you preserve your temporary solutions, and you can run it. Once you have your thing back, you can do your original testing. So that's it. So with the same test case, I can do my original testing as well. See, um, if I want to invoke my real test case, right, I can also drag it here, right, and simply I'll disable the mock file. So when I don't need the mock file, I can have my test case with my original thing, and whenever I'm doing my development and I need to do that mock testing, I can disable the other one and I can enable the other one, and I can continue with my mock testing. So that is the advantage of doing a mock testing. So yeah, so with this said, I have actually covered all the basic core of your RPA testing section, right? So whatever is there with respect to RBS testing and your studio is all done. I've also shown you how to publish your things on the orchestrator, how you can execute, how you can create your test cases and execute it from there on. And yeah, and we have also seen like how to create queues and all other thing. Now, the only thing that I did not cover in yesterday's thing was the activities, which is very simple. So I just want to let's see if I can find that. Okay, think if you Okay, so when you go to this testing activities thing, okay, on the UiPath website thing, you'll see that there are two different activity set. One is low code, another is the coded. One is for the coded automation, and it's for the low code, like the one that. So all the activities that you need to study is with respect to your low one, not the coded ones. Okay, so this is what you need to see. So you can, all the activities that you have there is present here. And as I said, there is something called a synthetic data we create in runtime, okay, if needed, and with that we create our test data, and we'll pass that. For all that synthetic data, UiPath has by default given us some activities, but practically we'll not have that many scenarios where we'll be using given name, last name, random date. In some cases it will be useful, but most of the time with real time business use cases, I don't think you'll be getting a chance to create this kind of synthetic data. But what I'll say is, you still play with the data here and try to see like what does this activity do. So it's just like a random function. You say that I need a name, give me any random name, it will give you any random name. You say I need a, when you use this activity, it will give you any random last name. Same goes with your random date, random number, random string, random value. All that is going to happen. Then comes your verify activities. Okay, so one is verify your expression with your operators. Okay, then verify your control attribute. This is very important because most of us will do web web development. So you're controlling all your web activities will play a crucial role here, where you verify your control attribute things here. And that's it. So they have some set of verification activities, some activity, and some synthetic data related activity. Queue, I've already shown you two things, but I've already shown you how to add queue items. But then there is something like, okay, see, when you can also use a feature like that key. Okay, I have a scenario where I want to do a get transaction data, something similar to your get transaction data. There you can do like get test data queue item, or you can also say that get test data queue items, like it will give return you a collection of items instead of one item. So, and I think you can also delete those data, huh? So you can also delete your queue items, whatever you don't need anymore. So you have an activity for that. So with that said, I complete my session here, but I'll just want to see like if anyone has any questions. Okay, if still you anyone has any questions, you can post it here. I'll be able to answer it. Or all good with everyone. Okay, I I believe then it is clear with everyone, like whatever. Okay, so there is one question from okay, what are the different ways to store the test result data? Okay, so how do you store your test results? Okay, so when you do your verification thing, right? So ideally, if you have your test cases published to the orchestrator, I think there is a mechanism to export it. So that is one way. Or else what you can do, so whenever you are doing your verification activity, you can also create an Excel file, just like how what you do in RE framework or in any process, right? We execute a particular transaction, then we create an Excel file where we say that okay, the status of this is successful, this got executed, what is the comment, etc. So in your then state of your test case, you can create an Excel file. Okay, and you can update that particular Excel file, okay, with all the necessary columns that you need, and you can say in the comments that okay, why this particular thing has failed, what was the reason for that, and later you can analyze it. The same results you can also export it once you have published your details there. So I hope I answered your question, Shraddha. Okay, I don't see any more questions from anyone. So with that, then I'll conclude it. Okay. So one last thing before all of you leave. Um, this is my LinkedIn profile URL. I'll just share this profile URL with all of you. Okay. So you can connect with me on LinkedIn. If you have any plan to conduct any session on UiPath, please feel free to reach out to me. I will host that particular session for all of you. If you want to conduct anything from your end, so just connect with me. Send me a message that Kunal, I want to uh, present this particular. I want to give a session on this. Okay, I'm not sure why I'm not able to send the LinkedIn profile URL. Maybe there is something, but uh, obviously you can find me in LinkedIn, and if you have anything, okay, you can note down this. And if you want to connect with me on anything, feel free to reach out and let me know what ideas, what is that you want to present, and I'll host a similar session just like I hosted mine, and we can have a session created for you. Okay. Thank you for joining, and it was really nice interacting with all of you. And I hope that you learned something from both the sessions today and yesterday. So, yep. Thank you so much, everyone.